where you want it.
Bay 12, please.
Hello there, Transformers fans, and welcome back to another Bay 12 video review. And today we are reviewing the Transformers Age of Extinction Galvatron from Studio Series. And the first figure they did of this guy, I guess, isn't as great as I remember it. Because I thought when they announced him, I was like, okay, you know, I knew this was going to come eventually, but I don't know. I always thought the original Age of Extinction figure was just alright enough. And this one is so much better. I wish I still had the original figure so I could show off side by side. Unfortunately, I do not. But here he is. Here is Studio Series number 90, the Age of Extinction Galvatron. And they used pretty much the same artwork, I think, from the original Age of Extinction promo and toy art for Galvatron, even, which is kind of cool, actually. But yeah, this is definitely a big improvement on the other figure. Not quite as big as I would have hoped, but he's still pretty sweet. And that's pretty much it for the packaging. I mean, I just realized I showed it all off already. So here he is. He is Galvatron. And overall, actually, a pretty good, solid re-release or updated release of Galvatron. In the back, you've got Hong Kong, I believe is where they were in Age of Extinction. So there's the backdrop for Galvatron there. Pretty cool looking. Pretty cool looking. He does come with some awesome weapon accessories. He comes with his hand cannon thing they transformed his hand into. Pretty alright looking. Definitely better than the other one. And then he also comes with a missile pod for his alt mode, because he could fire missiles in vehicle mode. There's not really a good place to put it in his robot mode. I'm just going to set it aside for now. But, again, overall not a bad figure. Some awesome detailing, especially on the pipes and stuff. It would have been cool if he had more of that blue and gold paint to set it off. I feel like they did the hole really well for the center of his chest, and they even did a hole on the back this time, rather than the original release, which only had the hole in the front because of the way the backpack was designed last time. A lot of good, nice gray and offset silver paint on this, which I really like it. It just kind of helps those different tones just kind of pop. But on the back, they kind of stopped. You know, you got that silver on the front of the shoulders, but then it's not on the back of the shoulders for some reason. So I wish they didn't just stop at the front of the robot mode and continued to paint the back of it as well. He is fully articulated. His head is on a ball joint. Fully articulated shoulders, upper bicep, double jointed elbows, nothing at the wrists, waist, hips, single jointed knees, side ankle joints, and there you go. Unfortunately, he's not that accurate as far as transformation goes. He does not particle transform into a bunch of transformium blocks and then reform into a truck or anything like that. So if that's what you were hoping for with this one, I'm sorry to say you're going to be a little disappointed. He just converts into a truck from the toy. I'm sorry. Maybe one day. Maybe one day. But before we transform him, for comparison, here he is next to Dark of the Moon Megatron, which is my favorite version of Megatron from the Studio Series. As you can see, he's not quite as big. He's a little small in comparison, which is what I was saying is I don't feel like he's big enough. I feel like he's just a little too small. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. I just feel like he's a little bit too small. Here he is next to the Last Night Voyager Megatron, because he goes back to being Megatron in between Age of Extinction and Last Night. We don't know when, we don't know how, we don't know how he got such an awesome body, because don't get me wrong, the Last Night is a dumpster fire of a Transformers film. It is easily the worst worst Transformers film of all time. But it had some cool character designs, and I love the Megatron from it overall. I did really like Megatron. Despite how terrible that movie is, Megatron was at least cool. So at some point he goes back to being Megatron. Here he is next to Revenge of the Fallen Megatron. Yep, we're going to do the whole Bayverse here. And here he is next to Transformers the movie Megatron, the 2007 one. So there we go. Now we have all 5. I know this one's not Studio Series, but this last Nightline was kind of what kicked off and led into Studio Series. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a re-release of this guy, but I wouldn't expect a new mold of this guy if we get a Last Night Megatron released in Studio Series, because honestly this mold was really good in my opinion. The only thing I would like to see changed is maybe they incorporate the battle mask gimmick he had in the Last Night, or a swappable head with the battle mask from the Last Night. Other than that, I don't think they really need to change anything on that figure. But there's all 5 movie Megatrons, or all 5 different body styles. I mean, I didn't bring the battle damaged Revenge of the Fallen. I didn't bring the Universal Megatron. So, but it is really cool to see them all side by side. I do like that. I do like that. So, there you go. There's the comparison. This one's still my favorite, though. I love the Dark of the Moon design. It's one of my all-time favorite Megatron designs. All right, transformation is a little bit more simple than breaking him down in a bunch of little cubes floating in the air and then reassembling him into a truck. It is more simple than that, but still kind of challenging. So that's nice. Oh, before I forget, he does have the forearm blades he had. They don't flip out or articulate out, which is kind of a shame. It would have been cool since he doesn't have any wrist articulation if they had put a little hinge here so that he can stick out his little wrist blades a little, but he does have them on both forearms. And the other thing I wish they had done is I wish they had at least given them some silver paint as well, because they just cast it in the plastic and then paint it. I know Hasbro has a paint budget for figures, is what they recently started letting people know, because people keep commenting on the paint, rightfully so. It is something worth mentioning. But I wish they would have just done a little bit more with the paint budget on this one. Not so much that we needed to upscale him to a leader class because of the paint budget, but just a little bit more would have been nice, you know? All right, transformation, for real this time. All right, we're going to start by untabbing that backpack section right there, bringing that down. We're going to untab the shoulders from the sides there, bring those out a little bit, flare these out a little bit. Now you can see this is all freed up, and then we're going to bring the chest down, fold that in, fold that down, and there's the top and somewhat of the front of the truck just about done. Next, we're going to fold in those shoulders all the way, and while we're doing that, we're going to rotate that bicep joint, and on that double elbow joint, we're going to bring those forearms up to the back of the shoulder. Same thing over here, just fold that in on that double hinge joint, like so. Next, we're going to bring this section up a little bit. It doesn't tab into the bottom of the arms in any way, which is kind of odd, but you are going to bring that up to right about there. Next, the waist is tabbed into the bottom of what is the front of the truck now. We're going to untab that and bring it back like so, because the back of the legs are going to be the back of the truck. We're going to fold out the front wheels from inside of the thigh, which I kind of like how they did that. I do like that little bit of engineering there. And then on the back of the legs, we're going to come detach the back of the calf, extend that panel, rotate that on that hinge, and rotate this all the way around. And there's like a little curvy groove right here on the back of what was the chest plate. And this part, this little hinge, is going to sit over that. It doesn't tab in or anything, but it is going to sit in place over that, like so. And then you can start tabbing other things into place. Once you get that forearm line back up, there we go. Make sure that's all extended. Oh, something's still not lined up quite right. Double check. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that should be fine. Weird that it's not. Lining up like it should. Oh, okay, there we go. All right. There we go. Get that all tabbed in. There. All right, once it's lined up, you should have some clean paneling like there, right there, like so. Next step, we're gonna come over here, do the same thing on the other leg, untab that, fold that up, swing that around, fit it over that little spot, get that tabbed in, get that tabbed in, and then you've got all that side paneling right there. Next thing, we're going to rotate this whole section down. So there's the top of the cab. We're going to flip in these side panels right here. And that's going to just line up with those tabs. And then fold that, and that covers up the robot mode hands. It's actually remarkable how clean this actually looks in comparison. I mean, it still looks kind of, you know, robot mode-y here, but it's much cleaner, in my opinion, than the original Age of Extinction one. And then before we do the rest of the legs, we'll just go ahead and finish off the front of the truck here. Bring that grill down on that double hinge, and then this back panel here, these two tabs are going to tab in to these two wheel sections, locking those into place, like so. So there's the front of that. Next, we're going to come to these little side panel bits. We're going to flip that around. This little tab's going to tab in right down, right there, covering that section, covering that section. Bring the feet down, fold out the last two wheels, and then split the feet, rotate that hinge all the way inward like so. Do the same on the other side, rotate that all the way inward like so. This little tab right here is going to tab in right there. So now we're just going to kind of peg the feet together, and then right there, there's another tab, peg the feet together right there. Straighten it up so it's sitting like so, and then last step is to rotate the feet, the back of the foot upward like that, and that's it. That's it in truck mode. So the very back part of the truck mode isn't the prettiest. This whole section right here is a little ugly. It's like they had finished doing all this incredible engineering and making the bulk of the robot mode fit into what is a pretty clean cab mode, actually, for his truck mode. They actually did a really, really good job of making that look nice and clean, especially if you get all the panels properly lined up. It's just right here. Now you have this robot mode feet just kind of folded together and hanging off the back of the truck here, because that should not be there. So it's like they nailed it all right here, and then got to this point and we're like, we're done. We're done trying to figure the rest of this out. We don't know what to do. We don't know what to do with this right here. So they didn't do anything. I feel like there could have been a way to maybe incorporate it into this gap a little bit. I mean, it's still a little large, but maybe some more engineering witchcraft to incorporate it into that gap a little bit. I don't know. I'm not an engineer, so I know I look and scream engineer. No, I don't. But yeah, I don't know. It's still much better than the original release. It's not perfect. I don't think it ever was going to be perfect. Maybe the masterpiece, if they ever do a masterpiece, will be. But I think it's good enough for what we got. And I don't display my vehicles in my Transformers in truck mode anyway. So honestly, it's not a huge deal to me. But there you go. Now, you can take his missile pod here. It does have a rectangular peg that pegs onto the side of the fuel tanks, just like in the movie. I wish we got 2 instead of 1 of these, because I'm pretty sure he has 2 in the movie. But overall, still pretty cool looking. Wish it was painted to be silver and gray, like the rest of him, because I'm pretty sure the rocket pods were silver, not solid black. But at this point, I'm just being nitpicky, and I know it, so. Overall, not a bad release. Not my favorite of the Bayverse Megatrons, he is Galvatron, though. But not my favorite of the Bayverse Megatrons. Definitely Dark of the Moon is still my favorite. But, like I said, I do like Galvatron. Age of Extinction is not my favorite of the Bayverse movies. It's not the worst Bayverse movie. Second worst, but yeah, it's one that they needed to do. It's one that we were hoping they would do, and I'm glad they did it. So there you go, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's review featuring Age of Extinction Galvatron. Stay tuned for more Transformer reviews and some of our other reviews here on Bay 12, because we do all kinds of different stuff all the time. Like and subscribe, follow us on social media. And we'll see you guys later. We'll see you another time. Transform and roll out.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.